Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Yesterday I made a video about the fact that the third issue of the Call of Duty Zombies comic had just released, and I did a live reading, as I always do. Now, the story of it was much more interesting than the previous issues in my opinion, so that was really damn cool. The ending was absolutely bonkers, loved it, loved that we're finally getting into the real meat and potatoes of this Zombies comic story, but there wasn't a loading screen after the final page, as there was in the first issue, as there also was in the second issue. The third issue didn't seem to have one. But the reason for it was that I was reading the iTunes version of it, which had cut off the last damn page, and it turns out that there is a loading screen at the end, and it's only in the physical copies right now, and so we're going to be diving into and analysing it today. Holy moly, I'm excited because this is so juicy and so good. Okay, so I want to start off with the original NACHT loading screen from Black Ops 1. Obviously, in Black Ops 1, they remade the World at War maps. So you've got NACHT, Verrückt, Chino, and Deriz, all remade and all with new loading screens. This particular one, for NACHT, is just... it's been a bit of a puzzler for a while, let's put it that way. So we have a person on the left, 1964, under a light. They then go through a bit of a passage of time, and as they do so, we see various other little bits of this image begin to take shape. We've got that very same person, maybe, showing a load of other people something that is emitting a very bright light. You see then all of those people walking forwards and some smoke kind of passing over them. They're in some kind of trance and just walking in silence. Below, we see them watching these screens, and there's the zzz caption, which is important for some reason. And then in the top right, we see the boxes with Cuba, Vienna, etc., the Soviet hammer and sickle, all of that stuff, and a person looking at the boxes in that corridor there. Bit of a shout out to the sort of Indiana Jones cinematography, I think. Then, the person pops out of the portal in 1943, and there are a load of numbers around them, which is just bizarre. It's just weird, because it's a square portal, and it looks like it's intended to really look like a square portal, and you've got the numbers around this person, so is this our good friend the Pentagon boy? Like, what is going on with it? It's so bizarre. The fact that they're going back in time in this way as well is weird, because backwards time travel always kind of works a certain way in Zombies, and this doesn't really follow that form. Certainly doesn't appear to, at least, so it's been a bit of a mystery for a long time, this loading screen. But we now have a new version that is fascinating. So get this really clear in your mind's eye, get a picture of this loading screen, and we're going to change over. Boom. Revolutionized. Completely changed 100%. Okay, so once again, let's go through what's going on here. Chap on the left, with distinctly yellow eyes now, walking with some kind of baton. So, is that our good friend Stanley Ferguson by any chance? And the timestamp is 1914. 14! That's the beginning of World War I. What the hell? What? Just what? You then see, probably, as we assumed before at least, that same person showing a load of people something that's very bright, but the new context might suggest that this is actually Ferguson sitting down in his office, in his warden's office, with some candles on the table, as you can kind of make out, performing a ritual, performing some kind of a summoning act to bring forth all of the carnage that we see in Mob of the Dead. Because that map obviously relies on the fact that Ferguson has undertaken all of these rituals and has some dark stuff going on in his office, such that the entire prison is transformed, or at least that is part of the process. So is he there summoning demons or communicating with the spirits or doing something? Probably. You then see time passing, and we get that 1933 called out, which is obviously pointing us towards Mob of the Dead, once again, which is very, very interesting. We see some prisoners this time, shuffling in silence. You can see the jail cell bars behind them on the right side, or rather on their left, our right. They're walking through, and that same sort of smoke passing over them, which at this point is probably just a stylistic little addition. We can then look down below and see that we don't have all of those screens that we had before, with people just staring at them. And it no longer says, zzz, it now says, But why? Is it gonna be transitioning into the, what you say? That's a joke a friend of mine made, so I'm a terrible person for repeating it, but why have they got the pods there? What is the deal? These are the pods that we see Dempsey 1.0 in, for example. These are the pods that we see in Der Eisendrache, just leaning against the walls. These are those very same pods, and they're being referenced here in 1933, seemingly. I mean, I'm glad they fixed the passage of time because it's going forwards this time, so it fits better with the canon of the rest of the mode, but the pods are there, and it's going, and then we see in the top right someone who is no longer standing in what was presumed before to be potentially some kind of Area 51 facility or something like that. No Soviet sickle and hammer, none of that at all. Instead, we're seeing jail cells, but the thing that's really interesting here is that on the right side, it looks like that could be a little bay where a load of pods are lined up. In Alcatraz. Which is just, what? Huh? It's bizarre. They then get to 1941, and it appears to have our 4 Origins characters. You can kind of make out, like, Nikolai's little helmet on there. It looks like that's probably our Origins 4 coming out of the portal. Bruh, this is just so interesting to me, because in Origins, Richtofen has the blood, but he is the only person to have blood. That is a key point. So he has blood, and it's the blood of 2 of the prisoners in Mob of the Dead. Okay, so 1914 going to 1933, and there being some kind of link between Origins and Mob is not something we should be too worried about. It's interesting to try and figure out the specifics of that little exchange, but for now, we can just sort of work with that. They then go forwards further, and we see the characters then go on another trip to get blood just after Zetsebo. They're in Zetsebo, they zip out, they come back again, and they only stay as long as they need to collect the blood from Alcatraz. The thing that's peculiar is that this kind of seems to be making out that they're popping out in 1941? Or are they going backwards from 41 to 33 and we're just going right to left? What is the deal? Like, it's really, really peculiar the way they've structured this page. I kind of feel like this is cheating on Treyarch's part because this is such a retcon of past material. The fact that they've, for example, taken what was originally pretty much had to be the Pentagon thief going through that portal there, or coming out of the portal there, or something. Those numbers are so ingrained in the thief's just persona that, I mean, what's the deal with the rest of the image in the original one with the zzz and the screens and the freaking Cuba crates? And now we're just completely forgetting all of that information, and it's completely about face swiveling into place to fit into our current storyline. I understand why they have to do it, but it does feel like this is just a bit of a sort of, let's just erase the previous stuff and draw in some new pretty pictures that happen to fit with the narrative that Blundell has been creating since Mob of the Dead. I'm okay with it. I'm not annoyed by any means. It's just, it's a shame that it has to be this way, but I guess our story has been this messed up for this long that it's kind of necessary at this point. So, one last pass. Stanley Ferguson, 1914 is the date. Prisoners walking through the cells there, and then we see in one of the cell blocks what appears to be a little bay containing the freaking sleeper cells that we have seen in Black Ops 3. And there is the sound. Why? It's bizarre. It's peculiar. It's all of those words that I use way too often. It's just damn strange. and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments down below. I feel like we're really getting close to getting some solid answers now, and especially when we get the next issue of the comic, and we get more loading screens, and we potentially learn more about Schuster, and the drill, and Zero Base, and the fact that they've got the SSMAJBR, or whatever the blood sequence is, for the transit crew. The fact that all of those things, the ciphers, the story itself, the loading screens are coming together, all of the messaging from Black Ops 3 too, is very exciting. And it reminds me why I love Treyarch Zombies. Oh boy. Okay, I've been MrRoflWaffles. Please leave a like, that would be much appreciated, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.